The Heisman race is shaping out to be one of the more competitive races we've seen in recent years. Just a couple of weeks ago, it looked like it was a 1 or a 2-man race. Now, as we get ready to enter November, the Heisman is looking like it's a potential 5 to 6-man race. Today, I'm going to be sharing my Heisman top 10 as we get ready to enter week 9. Although his numbers are still some of the best in all of college football, the last 2 weeks for Caleb Williams have nearly wiped out his Heisman campaign. He had his first true test of the season at Notre Dame, and he had arguably his worst game of his collegiate career. Then he had a chance to redeem himself this past weekend against Utah, but he didn't throw a single touchdown, and USC lost the game. That now makes back-to-back losses for USC, who was on the verge of falling outside the top 25. Like I mentioned though, Caleb Williams still has some remarkable numbers this season. He's thrown for 2,300 yards with 23 passing touchdowns and 7 touchdowns on the ground. So if USC is able to win out and Caleb Williams can light up the stat sheet the rest of the way, maybe there's a chance he's able to get back into the Heisman conversation. As of right now though, I think his chances are all but shot. Brady Cook continues his incredible season for Missouri. He's completing a very nice 69% of his passes and has thrown for 2,200 yards. He has 15 passing touchdowns and only 3 interceptions, with 5 touchdowns on the ground as well. He's number 2 in the SEC in total touchdowns responsible for and is number 6 in the entire country in total yards. Missouri has been one of the more surprising teams in all of college football this season, and that's largely due to Brady Cook. In his first season at quarterback for Georgia, Carson Beck has quietly had a really good year. He's completing 74% of his passes and is thrown for just under 2,200 yards. He has 12 passing touchdowns and has 3 touchdowns on the ground as well. Georgia's the number 1 team in all of college football, and if they win out and he continues to put up solid numbers, he very well could be a Heisman finalist. After his hot start to the season, Jordan Travis has kind of cooled down recently, but he's still been fantastic for Florida State. He's thrown for 1,700 yards with 15 passing touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. He's also added 5 touchdowns on the ground as well. Every week he's been putting up solid numbers, but he hasn't really had that Heisman game since week 1 against LSU. He hasn't thrown more than 2 passing touchdowns in a game since week 1, and he also hasn't surpassed 300 yards in a game either. Bo Nix continues to have one of the best 2-year stretches we've seen from a quarterback in recent memory. He's completing just under 80% of his passes this year. He's thrown for 2,100 yards with 19 passing touchdowns and only 1 interception. He's also added 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. Bo Nix had a fantastic debut season for the Ducks in 2022, but he's on pace to have an even better 2023 campaign. As of right now, Nix is on pace to throw for nearly 40 passing touchdowns with over 4,000 passing yards. Making my Heisman top 10 for the first time this season is a player that is long overdue. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been the best wide receiver in all of college football this season. Through 7 games, he's caught 42 passes for nearly 800 yards with 6 receiving touchdowns. Although he might not have the best numbers for a wide receiver in college football, he's been the best player on arguably the best team in the country. I mean, he's pretty much been the Buckeyes' entire offense. If they didn't have Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't know where this Buckeyes team would be. This is actually pretty crazy. I have JJ McCarthy number 3 on my Heisman list, but as of right now, he's actually the betting favorite to win the award. I mean, I knew he was having a great season, but I was blown away when I saw that he was the betting favorite. He's been fantastic this season for Michigan as he's completing 78% of his passes. He's thrown for 1,800 yards with 18 passing touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. He's also added nearly 200 yards on the ground with 3 rushing scores as well. Now, don't get me wrong, JJ McCarthy is having a great season, but he's currently 8th in the country in total touchdowns responsible for, and he's not even top 10 in total yards. So although Michigan is undefeated, I just don't understand how he is currently the betting favorite. I mean, he's on pace to finish the season with fewer than 3,000 passing yards and fewer than 30 passing touchdowns. I just don't know how those can be Heisman winning numbers. Before I get to the rest of my Heisman list, I'd like to share with you guys how you can win money during the college football season. I've partnered with Underdog Fantasy to bring offering you this amazing deal. If you download the Underdog app and use promo code Harris, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Yep, they're giving you up to $100 of free money. I've had a lot of success recently with college football and the NFL, and you can do the exact same with Underdog Fantasy. So make sure to use promo code Harris for a 100% deposit match up to $100. You can also sign up using the link in my description as well. I said this last week and I'll say it again, if you were to have Jayden Daniels as your #1 Heisman pick, I wouldn't argue against that. He's been phenomenal for the Tigers this season as he's completing 73% of his passes. He's thrown for nearly 2,600 yards and has 25 passing touchdowns with only 3 interceptions. He's also added 500 yards on the ground with 5 rushing scores as well. Daniels currently leads the country in passing yards per attempt and passing touchdowns. He's also second in passing yards. He's been phenomenal every game this season for the Tigers. The only reason he isn't higher is because LSU does have 2 losses at the moment, but if they're able to win out, that shouldn't matter, and Jayden Daniels could be the Heisman winner. At number 2, I have Oklahoma quarterback Dillon Gabriel. Now, Oklahoma was on upset watch this past weekend, but Gabriel still had a great game. He threw for 250 yards with 3 passing touchdowns, and he still managed to pull out the victory. Overall for the year, Gabriel is completing 71% of his passes and is thrown for 2,100 yards. He has 19 passing touchdowns while adding 5 touchdowns on the ground as well. Overall, Gabriel is 4th in the entire country with 24 touchdowns responsible for. He also leads the Big 12 with 2,300 total yards. Staying at number 1 though for me is Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. I know he had an awful game this past weekend against Arizona State as he threw for just under 300 yards with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But I'm not going to let that one bad game completely wipe him out from being the favorite. I mean, we have to remember he's coming off a performance in which he knocked off Oregon by throwing for 300 yards with 4 passing touchdowns. Overall in the season, Penix is completing 71% of his passes and has thrown for 2,600 yards. He also has 20 passing touchdowns as well. Penix leads the Pac-12 with 2,600 total yards and is number 2 in the entire country. Like I said, he had a bad game this past weekend, but up until that point, he had been the best quarterback in all of college football, so I'm keeping him at number 1 for now. Well, that wraps it up for my Heisman top 10. Was there a player that was too high or too low on my list, or a player that I didn't include that should have been in here? Whoever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos all season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.